What do you think Nick's relationship is with the front office?
That was if you're going to parse all of the things he said, that was the one that really jumped off the page for me. And just a little background on how that all went down Friday. The person who asked that question, there was no local, like any of the local guys who covered the team, who typically travel with the team, didn't make that trip to Philly for various reasons. So the person who asked that question, who kind of got all the ball rolling, was Keith Pompey, who covers the Sixers, who I'm pretty sure has been on your show a few times.
Yep.
Does a great job. And, and he asked a very broad question. It was, where's your head at? It's been a kind of topsy-turvy season. Along those lines.
Yeah, standard question.
Pretty standard.
Yep.
And I asked Keith, I've known him for a long time, and so I reached out to him the other day, and I said, listen, did you ask that as a way to ease into this subject? And he said, no. He had no idea that story was out there, because he was just literally asking the broadest Toronto Raptors question he could think of, based on a kind of a season that's been pretty weird. And so Nick, took the opportunity to really uncork a can of worms. And so to answer your question, I think from my understanding, there's definitely been some tension, some tense moments this year. I don't know if I would categorize them as all that different as things that happened in other years. Sure. I think the losing exacerbates everything. These relationships are often pretty stressful. But, in terms of it being a kind of diplomatic deep freeze, that's not anything I've heard of or observed. With my own eyes, you see Bobby and Nick talking at the end of practice. You see Masai when he's there doing the same thing. I know the relationship between this front office and Nick's representation is very good. They're in regular communications. I think in kind of that vein, I think the way Nick kind of phrased that and I think that caught a lot of people off guard. So I don't think so, which is to say, the short answer is here, I think the relationship is not rosy just because it's been a tough year, but, was it to the point where, it should be, this is the kind of stuff we're talking about all the time. I think that caught some people off guard.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think the other question is in regards to the players. This is so much a players' league as well, right? I'm curious in terms of what's Nick's relationship like with the key players on the team? Scotty, OG, Pascal, Fred. What's his relationship with those kind of guys? Because again, that's something you have to factor in if you're considering a coaching change.
I think again, I would go to, I think he has respect of guys who are pretty serious about basketball, because no matter what you think of him, as your boss, he knows what he's doing, right?
Obviously,
I think that's the number one thing. So for him to, the idea that, he's not respected or appreciated for, his ability to manage game and come up with a game plan and the rest of that, I don't think that's an issue. I think, just talking to some people around this, I think, they've seen Nick kind of really kind of ramp it up the last little bit. Playoffs are approaching, games are getting bigger, and he's got to be at the sort of playoff Nick coming. So I think that's been going on. But I think bigger picture, have there been, moments or, is everything the way it could be? I don't think so. I think there is something to, this relationship kind of being a long one, and this group having been through a lot, and I'm not going to speak specific to any single player, but I think if there were a change, I don't think it could be. I wouldn't say it's necessarily welcome, but I don't think people would be like, oh no, what now? You know what I mean? I just don't want to overstate things, because it's probably not my place exactly, but I don't think it could be time for a change. Might be the simplest way to put it.
No, that's fair. That's fair. No, I just want to know that like the locker room's not going to completely break apart and riot if Nick leaves, and I definitely don't get the sense that that's going to happen.
I don't think so.